You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99 WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive Time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Major League Baseball spring training on a Thursday afternoon in Florida and Arizona. Your Atlanta Braves take on the New York Mets in Port St. Lucie. Phillies are at the Red Sox, Astros at Cardinals, with the Rays hosting the Twins. Diamondbacks are at the Dodgers on the late afternoon slate, along with Padres, Mariners, and Brewers, Rangers. Your TNT doubleheader in the NBA, 7:30, 76ers at the Mavericks, and the 10 o'clock Clippers at the Warriors. As March Madness keeps rolling with the Power Fives getting ready to start their conference tournaments next week, got some pretty good matchups tonight. 7 o'clock Eastern, top-ranked Houston is at home against Wichita State. Arizona State at UCLA at 9 o'clock on ESPN. And Purdue is at Wisconsin on FS1 at 9, while Arizona at USC in a Pac-12 showdown tips at 11. Colorado Rockies second baseman Brendan Rodgers could be facing surgery on his dislocated left shoulder, putting his 2023 season in jeopardy. Manager Bud Black said multiple MRIs have revealed that the damage to Rodgers' shoulder was worse than originally thought. The Jacksonville Jaguars are expected to place the franchise tag on tight end Evan Ingram. The franchise tag is $11.34 million. The deadline for teams to use the tag is this coming Tuesday at 4 Eastern. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are currently $55 million above the salary cap, are expected to release tight end Cameron Brate. Brate carries a $5 million cap hit, and his release will be one of several roster moves made by the team to become compliant by March 13th at 4 o'clock. Ex-University of Georgia star Jalen Carter returned to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis on Thursday, a day after the former star was arrested on charges of reckless driving and racing in connection with the crash that killed a Bulldogs teammate and a recruiting staff member. Carter, one of the top prospects in next month's draft, returned to the Combine to finish interviews with teams and measurements, among other activities. He was booked on the pair of misdemeanors at 11:30 Eastern Wednesday and released at 11:49, posting a $4,000 bail according to online records. Miguel Rojas of the Los Angeles Dodgers withdraws from the World Baseball Classic in order to focus on his new role as the Dodgers' starting shortstop. Rojas told reporters Thursday that his withdrawal from Team Venezuela was a mutual decision between him and the Dodgers, who have named the 10-year veteran their primary replacement for the injured Gavin Lux. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country.
Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
I'm a Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pump. Really? This is what you're doing? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair. YouTube Live.
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. Atlanta Braves are actually winning, and they're not just winning a spring training game, they're beating the Mets.
Armchair.
In the home
Community
stadium.
Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. He's the all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? We hope you are having one hell of a good day. The Atlanta Braves lead the New York Mets 6-0. We are, let me see, we're in the top of the 8th. Now, I haven't been a chance to watch the game. I was working my morning job, and I just turned it on. So I've got it live, but I'm also rewatching it on a different device to be able to watch the game itself, because it really has been a stinker this spring training. The Braves have not been on much. We haven't even been on. I was hoping, I saw that the actual Braves broadcast team was going to be very, very limited in their games this spring, but I was hoping ESPN would pick some up. But I swear every time ESPN's got a freaking game on, it's New York or Los Angeles based teams, and that's all they're putting out there. Now today, I think it was the Phillies and Red Sox. By the way, that score is 15-3 Boston over Philly in the 9th. Man, I wish these games counted today. You got the Mets losing, the Phillies losing, the Braves winning. Good day in the world of baseball. And we've got Red Raider Doug on the way. We've got Steven's going to join him. Joey's on the way later on in the show. We've got a big show. We have talked about it off air, and we have decided that once a week on, Thursdays, when Doug and Steven are here, they are NASCAR guys. They watch NASCAR. And I said, look, if you'll grab the wheel and talk just a few minutes of NASCAR. I know it's not as popular as it used to be, but there are a lot of NASCAR fans out there. We are going to talk NASCAR on Thursdays for a few minutes every single Thursday, because these guys, these are my two contributors that are big NASCAR fans. Now, I grew up watching it, but I can't call myself someone who is an aficionado by any stretch of the imagination. I know more about what NASCAR used to have, what used to happen in NASCAR, as opposed to what's currently going on. So I still enjoy a good race. I got bummed out by the Daytona 500, the way it ended, but all in all, I still enjoy it. I just don't spend a lot of time doing it. I spent more time caring about it when we were in a couple of different restaurants, one particularly that I'm thinking of in Middle Tennessee that we worked in, that I got a lot of good friends out of. We used to do a weekly NASCAR pool, and I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was $5, and the person that drew the winner got the whole 9 yards. And I think the way we did it, I remember it being pretty fun. I think the way we did it was there was like 10 of us that routinely played, and we drew 3 or 4 names, and it might have even been more than that, but just for argument's sake, we'll say there was 10 of us that drew the names, and 3 or 4 of us would go in, 10 of us, and it might have been more than that, would go in, and then we would pick 3 to 4 names depending on the field that week. And if one of your drivers won, you got the whole pot. So I want to say it was like 5 to win 50 or 5 to win 75. I don't really remember. I don't think I won that often, but when you did, it didn't really matter because you just ended up buying the house around. But it was fun. It was fun. And that was my biggest love affair with NASCAR, was during that time period. And I worked in a couple of other places that did it, especially after I left that restaurant, went to other ones and talked people into it. But nowadays, I don't get into it as much because I don't have that interaction. If I had a weekly pool, if I found a weekly pool here locally, then yeah, I would probably do it. Or even if I found a weekly pool that I could do, somehow online, I would probably do it because it's fun. The 500, I put a couple of bucks on a few different guys to win. None of them hit, but it's a little more fun when you know everyone, or at least it's the same group, and you've got as much of a chance as anyone to win. To me, those are fun. But anyways, we are going to get into a little bit of NASCAR each week for about 5 minutes or so, depending on how much news is going on. Get you ready for the weekend and the race. And Doug and Steven are NASCAR guys, so we look forward to that. We're going to be talking some football and some baseball and some basketball today. Obviously, those are our wheelhouses. And as we draw nearer to the Stanley Cup playoffs, we will be amping up more of our NHL talk. I know we don't talk a whole lot of NHL, but I got a couple of guys that are here every week, and they are NHL fans. And when we hit Stanley Cup time, we will keep you up to date on what's going on with that. And we're not going to drown you in it. Obviously, our wheelhouse is more football and baseball, and March Madness is coming up. But we want to make sure that we're hitting all the different sports, because we know they are, they may not be as popular as baseball and football and even basketball, but they are sports that do have quite a few fans. How about this Jalen Carter thing? Goes down, gets booked, comes back to the combine to continue interviews. That's a little wild story. I didn't get to see it, but I heard this morning that he was actually booked in his combine t-shirt. So I guess he just flew in, got himself booked, bailed out. It all took place in about 15 minutes. And he got back on a plane and headed back to Indy. So if you're a scout looking at this, I think you do like that. The fact that he turned himself in, and also the fact that he was lickety split. He didn't go down and hang out. He just came down, did his thing, and hauled butt back to Indy. I don't know what to make of this story. Now, they're misdemeanor charges. Now, but they keep saying in connection with the fatal crash. So I don't believe that he's going to miss any long-term time in the NFL. I think it's going to be one of these things. I hate to get too much into the weeds with it because I don't know enough about it. But if they're saying misdemeanor charges, I know that someone did lose their life, and I get that. But if he's not being charged with that, if he's just being charged with other things, then I think as an NFL scout, he might go down the board a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be anything drastic. And falls down the board far enough. I mean, remember, Jalen Carter had been a guy that was being projected in the very, very beginning of the draft. And this might drop him down a little bit, but who knows? Maybe he falls to Atlanta, because Atlanta seems more and more quiet about this. I still think Lamar Jackson's the move. It would be the perfect move, however they can get him here. But maybe that doesn't happen, and maybe they just decide to pivot. If they're sitting at 8 and they don't move up, they sit at 8. I'm not drafting a quarterback if I'm the Atlanta Falcons. Because 4 quarterbacks I believe are going to go in the top 5 or 6. I only think about 2 of them deserve it. Deserve that high of a pick. But because this has become a quarterback league, you're going to see more and more. You're not going to see where like one quarterback is picked in the top 10 and there's a free fall, because there's too many teams out there that they believe that's what they're missing as a quarterback. Atlanta, though they did draft Desmond Ridder, they would probably take a flyer on someone if for some reason there was a free fall. I also think of Tennessee Titans are sitting there at number 11. If there was a free fall, or even if it was a situation where Atlanta or a team like Tennessee looked at it and said, hey, we can get up to number 5 or 6 and get our guy, then, by all means. I'm just not 100% sure that past Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, and not necessarily in that order, that the quarterback that are out there, and it's obviously Will Levis of Kentucky and Richardson of Florida and a few others, but those are the main ones people are talking right now being in the top part of the draft. I don't know if any of the ones that are past Young and Stroud are worth a high pick. And you're taking a big risk. Not just as a coach, but as a general manager, you are taking a really, really big risk. So we'll end up seeing what happens here as the draft it'll be here before you know it. It's really crazy nowadays how the National Football League has become a 365 24/7 sport, and they've been very, very shrewd of being able to find a way to keep themselves in the news routinely. If it's not the draft, it's free agency. If it's not free agency, it's the NFL tags. There's been a couple of tags. Most notable, Washington made their tag today. We'll get into that here in a minute. And then Jacksonville grabbed Ingram on the tag, or expect to make it official here very shortly, but it's already being reported. 1 year, 11. And I figured that would long ago. We talked about this long ago, that was probably going to be, it's the smartest thing. You don't want to lock up a tight end who's had one good year. Now, if he goes out and has a really good year this year, it could be a thing where Jacksonville goes out and does a long-term deal with them, but I'm not necessarily suspecting that. I think Jacksonville, look, you can tag him one more time. You tag him one more time. And at that point, you might have developed someone in the draft. Real quick on the Major League Baseball, the Atlanta Braves, I do want to hit up on what has gone on in this game. Now, I haven't been able to see it. I've only looked at the statistics because I was at work this morning. But, by the way, today is the 2nd. 3 weeks from today, we will be doing Braves Mets. and that game is at 1 o'clock Eastern. 4 weeks from today is opening day. And that I think that's a 105 first pitch. We will have the call here on Braves Country, and we're in Washington, and weather permitting, we'll have ourselves some baseball this coming Tuesday night, 6:05 Eastern. Braves Country will bring you Braves Red Sox, and we do play-by-play. We do a radio call. We do not share the video for anyone out there that thinks that we might. It is a really quick way to get thrown off of all social media sites. You can't grab video of stuff you don't own. Somehow TikTok does it. TikTok does replays of videos. You'll see people. I don't know how they get away with it, but live video of a ball game is a big no-no if you don't have the rights. Today, by the way, Forrest Wall led off. I saw he was leading off. He went 2 for 4. How about that? Vaughn Grissom went 1 for 2. He's hitting .556 this spring. Marcell Ozuna 0 for 3, another clunker. I just saw him strike out as I started the game from beginning. I also have the live game next to me. Eli White, a guy that a lot of people are expecting to get in. He got on base. Let me see. He went 1 for 3 with 2 RBI. See anyone else have Castile went 1 for 3. Let me see. We didn't have any of our big boppers. If you missed it earlier, Chadwick Trump was sent to Gwinnett because they're trying to develop him as a catcher, and it looks like that both Darnode and Murphy are getting the day off. Okay, we're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we got Doug and we got Steven. We're going to talk some NASCAR. Giggity, giggity, giggity. You ain't rubbing, you ain't racing, boys. We'll be back here in a flash on WQEE 99.1 FM. Tuesday, March 7th, 6:05 Eastern, first pitch. Braves Country is bringing you Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox, pitch by pitch, inning by inning, from Northport, Florida, at Cool Today Park. Red Sox versus Braves broadcast will begin 6 Eastern, first pitch delivered by 6:05. Catch all the action right here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country for Atlanta Braves baseball all year long.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines two of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infinium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
Is this the suicide talk or the nickname talk?
The nickname. George, what is that? It's nothing. It's got no snap, no zip. I need a nickname that makes people light up.
You mean like Liza?
T-Bone.
But there's no T in your name. What about G-Bone?
There's no G-Bone.
There's a G-Spot.
That's a myth.
T-Bone, the ladies are gonna love you.
Welcome back. I've got an old cart somewhere, Stephen and Doug. I'll find it by next week. It was our NASCAR intro, and it's pretty funny. It's one of my favorite all-time sports guess you could call it a song. It's really more of like a, I don't know, blurb or an anthem or whatever. We're welcoming on to the show here, Mr. Steven and Mr. Doug. Steven, how are you, sir?
Great. Yeah, like we're, what is this, March 2nd now, and a few days away from March Madness, and man, is it going to be wild.
And Red Raider Doug, how the hell are you?
Doing good.
Yeah, March Madness is it's essentially here. I've been watching a lot of college basketball, as everybody knows, but the smaller tournaments started earlier this week. They'll start heating up this weekend. You didn't get there were a couple of day games. I didn't get a chance to catch them. I meant to, but I didn't get a chance to catch them. I believe tomorrow there's many more, and then of course Saturday, Sunday, and then it's by next week it is just wall to wall college basketball, and it'll be hard for me to squeeze in as much spring training watching as I've been doing, because I've been catching spring training games early on, and then come nighttime I've been watching a lot of the college basketball games that I might have put some juice on, right? But doing fairly well with that, and the jockey lost again last night for folks who have been following that. People are cussing him out on Twitter. It's one of the funniest things, man. Like I had to mute him. I'm not gonna block him because he's not a bad guy, but I had to mute him because he will just randomly just blurb at us anything that comes in his mind about the Mets or whatever the heck he was wanting. And you go in and you look at, so instead I'll go over to his feed and look at it from time to time, and people are just coming after him because he is on a cold streak like I've never seen. I mean, you could literally blindfoldedly throw darts at a board and have a much higher win percentage than this guy who was bragging and on top of the world a month ago, and now he can't buy a win. And he jinxed one. I can't remember the game, but Tones sent me the text. He jinxed one because I guess he went crazy and picked 3 games yesterday. He lost 2 of them.
Oof.
But the first one, whatever it was, I guess the team was winning and covering and was fairly comfortable. And and because another game he's about to watch was starting, he tweeted out, "We've got this one in the bag," that type of thing. I'm going to move on to the next one. Great job, blah, blah, blah. An hour later, people are coming out and goes, they didn't cover and they lost. They gave up like 6 or 7 points and they lost, and they'd been up by like 10. And this has pretty much been routine with this guy. All right, let's go ahead and get into some NASCAR. What is going on in the world of NASCAR? What race are we headed to this week?
So we are heading to Las Vegas this week.
Yeah, the Pennzoil 400.
Yeah, like this is always a fun track. It's one of the 1.5 mile tracks, but it almost races like a super speedway, and there's a lot of action here. And I mean, it's like the world almost, like the NASCAR world kind of felt right last week. Kyle Busch taking the win and taking the checkered flag at Auto Club, really having a strong showing so far, and in the number 8 car, like with Richard Childress. So I mean, he's actually been the best driver at Vegas the past few years. So it's going to be very interesting to see if he can hold on to that and keep that momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing with this race too is, I did looking at first light of this race, I would have favored Kyle Busch to win at 6-1, but one driver too that I'm looking forward to looking at this week is Ross Chastain, whose team is having some really good success this year. So I've always thought this racetrack is really unpredictable. Those teams that have their half-mile programs in order, which Kyle Busch does, but you also have to look at Ryan Blaney, and you also have to look at Denny Hamlin too here this week. So, and also this track has got one of my favorite trophies of all time, or at least it was when last time I watched a race. They used to give away a WBC style boxing belt as a trophy for that race.
Do they still do that?
No, it looks like it's an actual trophy.
They changed it.
Was that for the spring race or the fall race?
I take that back. That may be the fall race, but I just remember that being one of the coolest trophies that Vegas gave out.
I mean, it's not as cool as our fantasy football and baseball trophies, but yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Looking at the standings, so Stenhouse is still as atop the leaderboard. Then you got Kyle Busch, Chastain, Logano, Bowman, Harvick, Suarez. Is that Busher? This has been a while. Really dove into this. Hamlin, Keselowski, Truex, Blaney, LaHoy, Chase Elliott. Man, Chase Elliott's only 14.
I think you may have a different set of rankings. I don't, like the ones I'm looking at right now. It's Chastain's in first, with followed by Logano, Alex Bowman, Harvick, Daniel Suarez.
Yeah.
I mean, this says 2023 NASCAR Cup Series. Who are you? You're saying Suarez?
If you go to points, like filter it by points.
I mean, that's what I was. Oh, maybe they don't. Oh, they had it by wins. Okay. That's my bad. I just assumed that the default. I didn't want to go to NASCAR.com because, from my recollection, their website was always a nightmare to comb through. So I went to ESPN, and their default was wins. Okay, that makes more sense. All right. It really dumbfounds me. We're only a few races in. And this is one of the things I think they should change about NASCAR. Man, a win should be worth a lot more points to the point of, if you win the race, if you win one of the first few races, you should be sitting atop the leaderboard. Top 6 guys don't even have a W.
Well, so I mean, like the points themselves have their own, like that kind of like it acts as a tiebreaker. I mean, like the way it was last year and the way it's been the last few years, like basically a win guarantees you a spot in the playoffs. Doesn't matter if you don't do anything else rest of the year. You win one race, you're in the playoffs.
Right, I get that, but I'm just saying from the point standpoint, from a fan standpoint, when you watch this, I've never felt like that they've given a W a nut. Now, by doing that, I get where you're coming from, right? But I'm just saying from the actual standpoint of looking at the standings.
Okay, so you actually have to go to the NASCAR website. So the points aren't really the standings themselves. They have a separate column for playoff ranks, and it has Stenhouse and Busch 3 and 4, because giving them a lot more weight with the wins.
What the hell is ESPN doing? All right. Well, I guess I'll start trying to go to NASCAR. I'll be honest with you. For years, every time when we used to do NASCAR quite a bit, for years, every time we would go to the NASCAR website, it was just an absolute abomination.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, who are y'all picking to win this weekend out in Vegas?
I mean, I definitely loved Doug said, pick with Chastain. He's a plus 850.
One guy.
All right, if we're going one guy for me, yeah, I'm going to go Chastain plus 850. I love the value there.
What about you, Doug?
I concur. Chastain.
Well, the one thing I do remember about Vegas is Kevin Harvick was pretty darn good out there, so I'm taking Kevin Harvick.
Plus 1,800. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the betting odds out there, but I remember him being very good out there. Just in general, being good out west. Every year there for a while, every time that they would go out west, he would just utterly dominate. Of course, who knows what year that was? So, because obviously I'm way off track on what's going on as far as the scoring. But anyways, we'll keep up with the W's all year long and see how many times we actually get it right. Maybe we'll come up with a better scoring system by next week. Kind of did this on the fly today. Steven had talked to me several times via text about NASCAR and whatnot. And my biggest thing was I don't follow it enough to be able to drive it.
Yeah, literally.
All puns intended. And so when Doug told me that he follows NASCAR. I was like, okay, if I got two guys that can talk it, that's fine. But I'd be sitting here lying to you. But hey, watch out for Tony Stewart, man. He's, I think he's going to be a good one this year.
No, I just have when you
Dale Jr. Can I pick Dale Jr. this week? What's going on?
I got Clint Boyer this week.
I mean, he'll be there just on the
exactly.
watching from up top.
Yeah.
Is Tony Stewart doing all the broadcasting, or was that just for Daytona 500? Because I saw him in the booth on the 500.
I think every station has their own crew. So I forget who actually broadcasts that race, but he probably works for that crew.
It's always
for that station. Okay,
Fox.
yeah, then he works for Fox. So I know Boyer and Jeff Gordon work at they work at some. There's still Mike LaJoy. So I mean, it's
He's in the booth every Sunday. It wasn't just because it was the Daytona 500. Right?
I don't hate it though. Stewart's he's amazing to listen to.
Well, that's why I'm asking if anybody know. Do either one of y'all know if he's in the booth every single Sunday, or is it? Or
I don't think it is every Sunday.
I didn't think he was, unless it's something brand new. Because I'm used to, like Steven said, Boyer and Gordon.
All right, I'll figure it out. I thought we had NASCAR guys, and y'all don't even know who broadcasts it. All right.
We don't care about who calls it. We care about the race.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, but if you're watching the race, you would know who's broadcasting it.
No, if you're watching the race, you're listening to the radios on the app.
Exactly.
Oh,
see, real NASCAR guys know.
Always trying to get me on some technicality. It looks like, well, who knows if this is updated, but it looks like it's Jeff Gordon. They've got everybody listed except for Tony Stewart, but I know I saw him in the broadcast. All right, who knows if this is even updated? I'll figure it out by next week, or I'll just lie. Either way, I don't think either one of y'all are going to know. So let's go ahead and switch gears, gearheads, and get to... First of all, Doug, it is National Old Stuff Day. Make sure to jot that down. What's the coolest old stuff that you have? Some kind of sports memorabilia.
It's not. Well, I guess technically it is sports memorabilia. Is I have my my great grandfather's championship ring from when he played for the Boston Redskins back in the early 20s.
Wow!
Oh wow!
He was a halfback. Passing didn't even exist yet. It was all. I mean, football back then was just all kind of glorified
rugby.
Just running rugby. Thank you. That I have, and I also have my my granddad's college championship ring from when he played basketball for Seton Hall.
Oh wow! Okay, Steven, do you have anything remotely as cool as that? Because I don't.
No, I'm not anywhere near it.
I've just got bobbleheads. I got stuff of I've got bobbleheads of stuff that's supposed to represent old stuff, but they're not. I mean, I guess I got a few things, but nothing even close to that. Like one of the coolest things I have is, you remember Danbury Mint used to make the it was before bobbleheads became popular again. They made these for lack of a better term, statues, and I've got the Dan Marino Danbury Mint. It was probably made, I'm guessing, late 80s, early 90s, but that's about as cool as I've got. Most of my other stuff is not as cool. What about the pitch clock? Y'all have had about a week or so to kind of get yourself involved in watching some spring training and the pitch clock, etc. Steven, I'll start with you, because I don't think a lot of people have had any kind of reaction to the shift or the bases, but just in general, how is this spring training hitting you?
So, I mean, definitely from a viewer perspective, the pitch clock for sure makes it a better viewing experience. But I mean, as a player, I couldn't imagine having to go in there and just be timed with everything. I mean, like I remember playing, like one of my favorite things as a pitcher was doing that cat and mouse game with the batter, with the runners on base, trying to get in everyone's head. And I mean, for a lot of that element's taken away now, and especially like the penalty is it being like an automatic ball or strike, depending on who commits that infraction. It's really going to change things up. It's going to throw a lot of players out of their usual rhythm, but they're going to have to get new routines down, and yeah, it's going to be a major adjustment period for the actual players.
Doug, what about you?
Yeah, everything that Steven just said. One thing that struck me right away, I was watching the game, it's just how much time they are saving. They
it's incredible, isn't it?
It's mind blowing because if you I was watching, I think it was a Padres game, and they took the Padres game from last year. It was played right around this time, and you watch both at the same time, and you can see this year's game and the time that it took one pitcher to throw to one hitter. The other day, half an inning was gone. Is the difference?
That was Dodgers versus Padres. Padres were at bat, and they were comparing it to it wasn't last year, it was a couple of years ago.
Or a couple of years, yeah.
It was back when Pedro Baez was pitching for them, and we referenced it on the show earlier this week, and it's funny because the day before, when T and I were talking about it, this is on Monday, I had actually mentioned Pedro Baez, and because we just watched the games over the weekend, and I was like, it's because of jerk legs like him that we've got this rule. It wasn't really needed, but you got a handful of guys that very next morning on it was Twitter or whatever the heck, someone shared it to me, TikTok or whatever. I was like, oh my God, that is freaking Pedro Baez. And he's walking around picking up the rosin bag, getting on his phone, ordering stuff from Amazon, just anything you can think of to slow the game down. So I thought I was going to absolutely hate it. I hate the idea of a clock in baseball, but I love the result, and I know that's kind of counter-arguing myself, but it's the one sport that didn't have a clock, so that's what I hated. But man, the end result, you just can't compare it. You just can't. I mean, I still wonder if the 15 seconds is a little too fast, but all in all, I can't complain. I know they're going to get used to it. But I was doing the broadcast of Braves Red Sox this past Saturday, and when there was a man on base, the only thing I can tell you is it felt like a nice rhythm. When there wasn't a man on base, it felt rushed. It didn't feel like a baseball game. So that's the only thing, that's my only negative take back of it. But maybe it's a little not just them getting used to it, but maybe it's a little of me getting used to it. I don't know. Jesse Chavez, if you go back and watch that game, Jesse Chavez in the third or fourth inning, he comes in for Atlanta versus Boston. It was like he was playing Pop-A-Shot. He was getting the ball and just firing, getting the ball and just firing it. And he's one of the oldest guys on the field. Like, I mean, I couldn't catch my breath. I was like, my God, I hope this isn't what it's going to turn into. And you almost wonder if he's doing it to be kind of a smart aleck. I don't know. But he said, I have heard him in an interview right before that game that he had anticipated it and was practicing it, et cetera, et cetera. And he comes in, and compared to anyone else, I was like, my God, like someone needs to call a timeout to slow him down. Let's go ahead and take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the effects of this pitch clock on players this year, offense and pitching, And we're going to talk about some sleepers and busts for 2023 in Major League Baseball. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD, wherever you stream.
That is embarrassing! That is embarrassing! That is embarrassing! That is embarrassing! That is embarrassing!
Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is hand-picked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to DixieHandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball.
Whenever I bring home...
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Y'all, I can't do it anymore. I always said that I would shoot y'all straight, and that's what I'm doing here. You know, I always said that if this became not fun, I wouldn't do it anymore. And it's not fun. It's become more of a chore. It's a job. I've thought about it. I prayed over it. You know, sometimes in life you have to reevaluate things and figure out what's most important between, you know, family and work and just everything in life. This ain't it. So as of tonight, I am no longer participating in fantasy football. I don't have time for it, and maybe next year.
Armchair.
Welcome back. Your Atlanta Braves victorious today in Port St. Lucie. Colby Allard got the W. Carrasco got the L. Atlanta wins it 6-2 as looks like Kevin Pillar went deep. And we'll get you all the ins and outs on that here in a minute. Doug and Steven, the upcoming season obviously is going to get affected by the pitch clock. It's obviously going to get affected by the shift. The bags, I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference. I think in the early on, the expectation is, but I don't know if it's going to make a huge difference. It's funny. Max Scherzer has already done the math. I saw a quote by him the other day. He said, what it means is I have to be 1.29 to the plate now as opposed to 1.3. So it's really not as big a deal. And I'm laughing because I'm like, man, he's actually like broken it down. Like he's just, you know, scientifically figuring it out. I think what it'll do is it'll encourage guys to at least try to steal or make it from first to third more often in the early going. And then depending on how successful they are, we'll see if that keeps up. But the pitchers are going to be affected by the pitch clock. The hitters are going to be affected by the pitch clock. They're both going to be affected by the shift. Is this going to be a positive or negative for pitchers, Steven?
I'm going to say almost it's a negative. 'Cause I mean, like usually as a pitcher, you're able to control the pace of the game and, go when you're ready. Like now having your pitchers go and having to throw every 15 seconds, 20, like whatever. But I feel like it's going to tire some of the pitchers out, and actually we may see, at least in the early going, less quality starts and more bullpen usage.
All right, Doug, what about the hitters?
Hitters, I think you're going to see a rise in ERA, your batting average across the board. I think you're going to see a lot more offense out of Major League Baseball this year, for the exact reason that the pitchers are controlling the game, and hitting sitting in the box like that is a lot easier, even with this pitch clock. I mean, the pace of the game when I was watching a game the other day is the way baseball used to be played. So for hitters, I don't see much of a difference. I see them. I see a lot more offense. I see a lot more higher scoring games. A lot less wins for pitchers like Steven said too. ERAs I think are going to go through the roof compared to what they used to be.
So if you're doing fantasy baseball and you're going into a draft, I
care about hitters.
Are you caring about pitchers early and going hitting, or?
I mean, early on in my drafts, I mean, I'm looking for elite hitting. Pitching is, I mean, probably in many of my drafts, I'm not probably going to take a pitcher till maybe mid-third round, maybe even into the fourth round.
What about you, Steven?
Yeah, I mean, first round is, I mean, right now, like if you don't count Shohei, the only like looking at Fantasy Pros ADP, pitchers are really going in the middle of the second round and on. I mean, like it's Corbin Burns and Garrett Cole in that range. I'm definitely going to be prioritizing hitters in my first two to. Yeah, I'm gonna be waiting like Doug. I mean, like even those top end pitchers, I'm a lot more hesitant to be going after them this year. Like I want to be getting those hitters that have that great batted ball profile that don't strike out a lot. And I really think that those are the ones that are truly going to succeed.
And also consider with pitchers too this year, there's a lot more of a bigger, what I call a talent pool in that second and third tier. So you're not missing that much if you let's say you hold off until the late second through the third, or maybe even to the end of the third. You're not missing that much, but you're missing a lot more because there's a lot less talent at the elite level in hitting, especially positions like second and third base, especially. So I'm going to grab those first before I consider pitching. I don't feel like my team is going to hurt for waiting.
All right, so kind of shifting gears a little bit, but kind of staying on the same thing with baseball, fantasy baseball, and there's always a sleeper. There's always sleeper rankings that come out. We all are aware of them. We scroll them. We go, hey, these are the guys, et cetera, et cetera. I'm interested to see. We're going to go kind of around and round. Give me a sleeper that's being talked about that you're avoiding like the plague. Steven, I'll start with you.
I mean, Eduardo Rodriguez is number one for me. I don't even know what happened last year with him, but I mean, he came out looking okay, and then he just disappeared for months at a time. And even then, I mean, he was at best a mid-tier pitcher, and that's just a guy I am not going to be touching with a 10-foot pole.
You talking about Erod?
Yeah, Erod.
Oh, jeez.
Eduardo Rodriguez, sorry, not Julio.
Jeez. You found him on a sleeper list?
I've seen him at 5 sleeper lists.
Ugh.
Yeah.
He can stay asleep. Doug, what say you?
One guy that I've heard kind of ad nauseum, and I have absolutely no faith in him at all, is Cody Bellinger keeps showing up on sleeper lists.
No.
I'm like, why do I have to read this name? I mean, there's enough said.
I mean, maybe end of the the draft on a flyer, depending on how deep it is, okay, you can maybe talk him into it, but not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got one for you because I know he was popular because he was with the Dodgers. Now he's stayed in Southern California. He's going over to the Angels. I'm steering clear of Tyler Anderson. I'm not buying any of his hype.
Amen.
And I'll tell you what, I'll double down with that. What about Ross Stripling? People are all excited about Ross Stripling coming over, and
where
he signed with the Giants.
Yeah,
that was actually news.
He's who is this? The Athletic has him on their sleeper list, and there is no way. And when you're talking about Stripling, considering what his ADP is, there's no way I don't want any part of him.
What's the ADP?
I don't have it in front of me, but I've been in a lot of drafts, and I see him go somewhere. Typically, overall, in like a 12-man draft, I've been seeing him go with still about 5 rounds to spare, and I just think it's way too high.
Yeah, I actually just pulled it up. Right, he's sitting around right now, one below Michael Kopech and directly above Nathan Eovaldi, Marcus Stroman, and Trevor Rogers.
I would take a flyer on Rogers having a bounce back before I did any of those other idiots.
I'd take. I mean, Stripling would be at the bottom of that list, but I mean, Kopech, I would take the flyer on. Stroman, I would take the flyer on, especially in a roto league. Yeah, even Rogers too. I mean, Stripling at that price, he should be going undrafted.
What's another guy you're avoiding?
This Anthony Rendon. I mean, that's a huge injury thing that's been he's been going through the past few years. But man, I mean, it was like someone flipped a switch. He went from a top 5 third baseman, arguably a top 20 player in the league, to barely above replacement level. And it has been a hard fall for him.
What a waste of money he's been. My God.
Yeah. And I mean, people are like saying, oh, Christian McCaffrey and Saquon came back from these injuries to be their old selves. And yeah, I don't buy the Rendon. If he's still on waivers in like week 2,
isn't. I mean, what is Anthony Rendon's got to be in his early 30s, right?
33, 32.
Yeah. I mean, he's 4 seasons removed from that 2019. Which, look, in 2019, when the Nats won it all, he was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time when he was becoming a free agent, I was like, is that guy going to age well? I was really hoping he would stay in our division because I felt like that he was going to be doing what he's doing to the Angels, just sucking them dry. And, that singular signing might set back that franchise 20 years because of the money they wasted on him. They may not be able to re-sign Shohei. Which when you think of the big picture with that's just, it's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, it is so mind-boggling that the Angels have the 2 best players in baseball, and they're barely competing for third in their division.
Doug, you got another one?
Oh, I was just going to throw this because it's ad nauseum. The guy hasn't proven anything. He just Newbar from St. Louis. I'm sick of. There's nothing in his statistics. There's nothing that tells me that he's going to be a sleeper this year. I mean, he's bare minimum. His statistics are bare minimum major league player right now. So to me, I'm staying away with him. He'd have to prove a lot more before I'd pick him up. I wouldn't even draft him.
I'm so on the fence with him. I watched him play quite a bit last year for whatever reason. I caught a lot of Cardinal games, and he was impressive in stretches, but then there were other stretches where you're like, man, where is he? I'm a little more gun shy of Tyler O'Neill just because of his injury history.
Yep.
Anyone else got any?
I just have one on the tip of my tongue.
Here's one. I'm tired of hearing about this guy. I'm staying all in the same region of the country with this one. Matt Brash of the Seattle Mariners. I'm that guy. I can't tell you how many times that first of all, I got burned one year. I don't remember which year it was, but I got burned when he first came up. And then I believed in him again the second time. And now I'm like, no. Quit bringing up Matt Brash.
I could see that.
I was going to say add on that too, because this is like I think this is like the fourth year in a row. I always hear how Michael Brantley's going to have he's a sleeper too. And all I know is he's 35, and in the past 2 seasons, he's barely played a season between the last 2. So
yeah, Michael,
I don't want to hear about him anymore either.
Literally, he's on his last leg.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There were a lot of Braves fans that were wanting to sign him. I'm like, I don't know about that, man. I feel like we've already got him. His name's Eddie Rosario. Like, I don't think we need another. He's just a clone and bats from the same side. Not very good defensively. Can get hot, but also can get ice cold. Like, what are we doing? We'll have to put a pin in the next week when y'all stop by. We'll talk about the bus. The projected bus that you're not scared of, that you're like, the people are going to say these guys are bust. Well, we have ran out of time as Joey's coming in at the top of the hour. We have to hit the ID. Steven, what is your walk-off?
Looking for a bet tonight. Actually, like NBA, 76ers and Mavericks over 229. I think that's going to be a lightning show.
76 Mavs over 229. Doug, do you have a lock?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, what is your walk-off?
My walk-off with this pitching clock, I was considering the fact that a lot of people don't go to their local ballparks. With these games going quicker and faster, people, I'm just wondering if this will draw people to the ballpark because they can watch the game and get home sometime before 2:00 in the morning.
It's going to speed up restaurant league softball because it's just going to become contagious. People are like, come on, let's go. Hurry up. Be a man. Throw the ball. I thought I was going to hate it. I really like it. I still wish it was just a tad. My suggestion is just do 20 seconds across the board, whether there's a man on base or not. That's just my take on it, but I'm sure I'll adjust and it'll be okay. But we've got to take a quick break. When we come back, Joey's joining us, guys. We'll see you next week. Great job. Joey's joining us, and we are going to talk all the world of football, baseball, and a little bit of basketball. Back in a flash here on Braves Country. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Major League Baseball spring training on a Thursday afternoon in Florida and Arizona. Your Atlanta Braves take on the New York Mets in Port St. Lucie. Phillies are at the Red Sox, Astros at Cardinals, with the Rays hosting the Twins. Diamondbacks are at the Dodgers on the late afternoon slate, along with Padres, Mariners, and Brewers, Rangers. Your TNT doubleheader in the NBA, 7:30, 76ers at the Mavericks, and the 10 o'clock Clippers at the Warriors. As March Madness keeps rolling with the Power Fives getting ready to start their conference tournaments next week, got some pretty good matchups tonight. 7 o'clock Eastern, top-ranked Houston is at home against Wichita State. Arizona State at UCLA at 9 o'clock on ESPN. And Purdue is at Wisconsin on FS1 at 9, while Arizona at USC in a Pac-12 showdown tips at 11. Colorado Rockies second baseman Brendan Rodgers could be facing surgery on his dislocated left shoulder, putting his 2023 season in jeopardy. Manager Bud Black said multiple MRIs have revealed that the damage to Rodgers' shoulder was worse than originally thought. The Jacksonville Jaguars are expected to place the franchise tag on tight end Evan Ingram. The franchise tag is $11.34 million. The deadline for teams to use the tag is this coming Tuesday at 4 Eastern. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are currently $55 million above the salary cap, are expected to release tight end Cameron Brate. Brate carries a $5 million cap hit, and his release will be one of several roster moves made by the team to become compliant by March 13th at 4 o'clock. Ex-University of Georgia star Jalen Carter returned to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis on Thursday, a day after the former star was arrested on charges of reckless driving and racing in connection with the crash that killed a Bulldogs teammate and a recruiting staff member. Carter, one of the top prospects in next month's draft, returned to the Combine to finish interviews with teams and measurements, among other activities. He was booked on the pair of misdemeanors at 11:30 Eastern Wednesday and released at 11:49, posting a $4,000 bail according to online records. Miguel Rojas of the Los Angeles Dodgers withdraws from the World Baseball Classic in order to focus on his new role as the Dodgers' starting shortstop. Rojas told reporters Thursday that his withdrawal from Team Venezuela was a mutual decision between him and the Dodgers, who have named the 10-year veteran their primary replacement for the injured Gavin Lux. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country. Tuesday, March 7th, 6:05 Eastern, first pitch. Braves Country is bringing you Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox, pitch by pitch, inning by inning, from Northport, Florida at Cool Today Park. Red Sox versus Braves broadcast will begin 6 Eastern, first pitch delivered by 6:05. Catch all the action right here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country for Atlanta Braves baseball all year long.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Hockey season, and that means new merch over at ourdragonsmerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at ourdragonsmerch.com. That's the letter R, dragonsmerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
I don't believe what I'm seeing. Well, you've been all your lives at an orgy, listening to Mick Jagger music and bad-mouthing your country, I'll bet. Use your peripheral vision. Understand? Yes, sir. Now, every time I say understand, I want the whole group to say, yes, sir. Understand? Yes, sir. Understand? Yes, sir. Now, I know why most of you are here. We're not stupid. Before you get to sell what we teach you over at United Airlines, you got to give the Navy 6 years of your life, sweet pea. Lots of things can happen in 6 years. Another war can come up in 6 years.
Welcome back. Excuse me. Mac McGee and Joey. Joey, how the hell are you, sir? Joey, I think you got yourself muted. Not sure what's going on there, but yes, you are muted. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can unmute you. Can't unmute because they chose to mute themselves. So waiting on you to unmute yourself there, Joey. Welcome back here to, I think I heard Joey's move. Joey, you there?
Yeah. Am I here now? My computer is just having a bunch of issues.
Man, you with that weird stuff you download late at night.
Am I back now? Am I back?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. No. Yeah, I wanted to make a couple comments. Sorry about that as I'm having technical difficulties. I'll keep my hands up here for the rest of the show. But no, in all seriousness, my parents are spring training today enjoying the Cubs. They were actually able to get my mom was able to get Nico Horner and Eric Hosmer's autograph. So I thought that was pretty cool. They're in Mesa. The Cubs actually are up 2-0 right now, 3-0 on the Athletics. So happy about that.
They're there at the game today.
Yep, correct.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's fun.
Did you thank them for including you?
If I wasn't going to Nashville later this month, I might have joined, which I'll be hitting you up about because I know you know all the spots there.
Is that why you're growing that porn stash? Is in?
I feel like Goose from Top Gun.
I don't know about that. You look like an extra from Chips.
A Chippendale?
No, Chips.
Oh, okay.
You might have to Google what that is, but
we'll
Eric
do after the show.
Company. Which actually, I don't know if they actually had mustaches, but it seemed like everyone in that time frame did. By the way, they keep talking about the Bears are leaning towards trading the number 1 pick. I mean, are you hearing anything out of Chicago where this might all be a ruse and they're going to end up trading Justin Fields?
You know, anything's possible, but anytime I listen to the 2 local Chicago stations here, they all just want now it might not what happens, but they all want Fields to stay, so they talk as if they just are going to keep him and move that first pick. The one thing I do hear from the local reporters, though, is they just feel like at the end of the day, after exploring potential options, that the number 1 pick is going to get much more value than Fields. So I don't know if they thought about that before or after, but it seems to me after these first few days that first pick to a lot of teams means that much more.
So they're under the impression that if they went to trade Fields, they wouldn't get someone's number 1 pick.
Well, either that, but along like, you know, a lot of these for the number 1 pick, you're getting 2 firsts, right? They're going to probably give you this year's first and next year's first. They just believe if you traded Fields, you're probably going to get maybe like, let's say the Panthers picking at 8 or the Saints at 9. It'd be straight up and that's it. If you trade the number 1 pick, you might get this year's first, next year's first. We all know the story.
I think those days are gone.
Really?
In the National Football League, because I think everyone values draft picks much more than they value, you know, other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anyone's. I'm not saying it can't happen. I just don't know if we're ever going to see another situation where you're going to get multiple first round picks. Like, for instance, where are the Panthers drafting at this year?
Number 8.
That's going to be difficult because doesn't Atlanta have the number 8 pick?
Or number 1, the NFC South teams are like 7, 8, 9 or 8, 9, 10 in the draft. I just get them screwed up. But they're in that 8 to 10
so
range.
They're probably 7. If they traded down and got the 7 pick, you'd have to be a fool to trade 2 1s just to move up 6 spots. But you might be able to get a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Maybe not this year. I think if you wanted it for this year, it would probably be a 3rd round pick. If you wanted it, if you're willing to wait till next year, you might be able to get the 1st and the 2nd. I think that's more logical because gone are the days of Ricky Williams just gutting someone's entire draft class, right?
Yeah, and I mean, most of these teams people forget. I know quarterback's by far the most important position. Don't get me wrong. But people act like they don't have to fill out any of their roster with other players. It's like, yes, a team might need a quarterback like the Colts or the Texans or the Panthers or what have you, but they were bad for a reason. They have a lot more holes than just quarterback. So I don't know how much capital is going to be given up.
Yeah, and to me, the thing is also you're talking about you're only moving up a few slots. It's a different story if you make a trade with, I'm trying to think of someone that's way back there on the back end, but most of the teams on the back end have quarterbacks. But if you make a trade with someone whose 1st round pick is in the 20s, okay, then maybe you're going to get 2 number 1 picks.
Maybe
You're
a
talking about-
Seattle at number 20.
That's a perfect example. It's a perfect example. Because then you're talking about making a huge leap to get the number 1 pick. And I think that they should get 2 1s and maybe even a 3, maybe not in this year's draft, but maybe next year's draft, right? But you're going to have to be really secure in your job to trade away the number 1 pick overall and move down with the idea of, hey, we're building for the long term. I just think it would be absolutely moronic for the Bears to trade Fields, because I think Fields is a pretty good quarterback.
Oh,
I
and
think
this,
he's got potential. I'll put it that way.
right. And let's face it, I know it was a lot of rushing this year that he did, not much throwing the football. But if you look at his talent around him with the receivers, with the tight ends, he didn't have much to work with either. So, like you said, a good work in progress. And if you don't have to restart the wheel on a new rookie quarterback, why would you back yourself up a year again? So I think Fields is staying in Chicago, and that first pick will probably be moved.
Yeah, I don't see any situation where they stay at the 1 pick, even if they get really even if there's teams out there stonewalling them, and they might be there right now. We're still weeks and weeks and weeks away from the draft, so there's probably GMs out there stonewalling them, saying, we'll give you a 6th round pick to move up, and our number 1 pick from, we'll just say, like, Carolina, right? But as we get closer and closer, and you start hearing rumors that the pick is moving, and you might be missing out on it, and you believe that you are that quarterback away, especially I expect it to heat up a little bit more after a week or two after the combine, because then you're going to get all your information back. You're like, all right, so we looked at this guy, and now we have a firm belief on whether or not he's our guy. And look, if it's a bad combine for these quarterbacks, which usually there's at least one guy, but if it's a bad combine for these quarterbacks, maybe Chicago does have a pivot. Maybe they do have to draft with the number 1 overall pick and pick someone that fits their needs. You've also got the other option. Draft the quarterback you like and then move Justin Fields after it.
That's not, a bad one. Now, what do you think, though, with the Bears? Do you think the Bears stock with this number 1 pick, even just a little bit, has fallen off due to this Carter news? Because now it seems like he might not go in the top 5. So, because they were talking about how the Bama guy, the Georgia guy are the top 2 defenders. Well, if the Bears trade further down than 2, they won't get one of those 2 guys if Carter's not really going to be an option in the top 5.
Well, here's the other thing. What if you draft the quarterback? We'll just say everyone believes CJ Stroud's the number 1 guy, right?
Okay.
And you draft Stroud, and it was like, ooh, Justin Fields is on the move. Justin Fields is on the move, right? That's going to be the prevailing thought. But what if you do it just so you go, all right, now we've got him. Now what you gonna do, son? Because you thought you were gonna pinhole us and paint us into a corner. Well, now we got the guy that you wanted, so now you're gonna have to move up and make a move.
If you take Bryce Young and then like the old Eli Manning trade back in the day, but different circumstances. But I never thought about taking the quarterback and then trading him.
Yeah, it's happened a few times before, and not just with the quarterback position. I think of it more often in the NBA, where the NBA's got to fix their draft, the goofy rules they have with trading draft picks. But you'll see a guy get drafted and he never puts on that uniform. But you could absolutely have it happen in the NFL. And if I'm sitting there and I'm the Bears, and I firmly believe that everyone's trying to screw me, right? And they're not wanting to give me what I want, and they're like, well, who cares? Because you've got a quarterback. You're not going to draft a quarterback. And if we do the math, this guy X is going to fall to us, right? But that all goes out the window if you go ahead and you take that quarterback that everybody wants, whoever it ends up being. I don't watch the combine because it's a huge waste of time, but I usually wait till a few weeks afterwards, and everyone starts putting the reports out, and then you get the idea of what it is. I'm assuming it's being televised by NFL Network this week. I haven't even turned it on.
Yeah, I saw it scrolling across, but I don't watch much either.
I mean, I used to work with a guy that loved it and would just watch it and want to talk to me about it. And I mean, I'd have to hide from him. I'm like, dude, I do not want to watch this. I don't want to talk about it. Don't even think it's stupid. It doesn't matter what you think when you see something, because it's what the general managers think, and they're not going to tell you. And all you're going to get is rumors and other BS, because they want to affect his pick, because they want to grab him. They want to have him, and they don't want you to have him. That's what it all comes down to. Now, what about this Jalen Carter situation? Do you think this is going to affect his stock?
I do a tad, and here's why. Now, when you draft picks, especially a team like the Bears or a team like the Cardinals at 3, teams that might go defensive. When you're looking at the top players in the Alabama linebacker, and then you have obviously Mr. Carter from Georgia here. When you have not only some stories of attitude issues, then this whole thing comes out where he, it's a pretty big deal what happened with this whole drag racing incident. People's lives are on the line. When people are making those choices, to me, this whole combine week was finding more out about people. You just found out about Mr. Carter more by what happened over the past couple of days. And if you're a team within the top 5, how can you sit there and take a guy comfortably who you don't know exactly what you're getting between the eyes, not what's physically gifted to you? I know what people need, but let's face it, when you have a top 5 pick, I think it's so sacred. You can't be taking that risk, especially if you're the Bears at, let's say, number 1, 2, 3, or 4, wherever they make trade. I just don't think he could be the first defensive player off the board.
What I really hate is I go to a mock draft, Mel Kiper's mock draft, his most recent one. And I hate when they do this, man. And when we do our mock draft later on, this is why I don't do this. Don't come up with mock trades too, right? When you put the draft out, you should be drafting off of what we know to be true. X team has Y pick, right? And so what we have here, listen, this is nonsense that he's got juggled all around. He's got, well, who does he even have with the number 1 pick? Oh, the Texans making a trade with the Bears and grabbing Bryce Young. Then he's got the Colts involved in the same trade, without boring us all the details. They move up to the number 2 pick and grab CJ Stroud. Will Anderson goes number 3 overall to Arizona. And the reason why I bring this up is because then he's got the Bears drafting 4th and grabbing Jalen Carter.
I think that would be a huge mistake to gamble on, especially the Bears, because you trade that pick and then you take somebody who there is question marks. Even if it means little at the end of the day, there is definite question marks about this guy's character right now in my eyes.
Now, granted, this article came out a day before the news broke yesterday.
Okay, fair.
So I'm sure that'll change quite a bit. The thing is, he's getting hit with 2 misdemeanors. He flew down. He showed up. He got booked. Then he flew back to interview with the folks in Indianapolis. I mean, to me, that's a plus.
Oh, hey, I'm not sitting here saying that this guy shouldn't go top 10 in the first round or anything like that, but I just think being in the same conversation now as the Bama guy, I think that he should just take a slight edge. And
if he was on the lam, then I'd say, oh, I don't know about this. Or he was facing 2 felonies. I don't know about this, right? Then I would see him plummet. Someone would eventually draft him, and you just have to see, how it all shakes out. But 2 misdemeanors, he's not going to miss any time. And the fact that he did what he did, I mean, honestly, I'm not going to say I would raise him in my rankings, but I don't think I would move him much. Unless I did my due diligence and I found out, dude, this guy's addicted to drag racing. You're never going to get him to stop doing it. Then I'd be like, all right, never mind. You tell Evil Knievel to kick rocks. Go somewhere else. We'll probably be doing. I usually wait until towards the end of March Madness because there's too much junk going on these next couple weeks. But once we get towards the end of March Madness and there's that lull where you're waiting for opening day, et cetera, that's when we'll hit our and we, remarkably, especially considering all the folks that we have in this, we've had some pretty decent success predicting these mock drafts. That was an absolute blast. We went down there to cover the draft. Was that 2019 in Nashville? Was Nashville the 2019? I've got something around here that tells me.
Yeah, was it the one right before COVID hit, maybe, or the one right after?
Yeah, I think it was. It was an absolute blast.
Yeah, 2019. You're 100% correct.
Okay. Yeah, we were covering it for CBS affiliate down here.
600,000 fans were there. Oh my God.
Oh, it was an absolute zoo.
Holy!
I expected it to be big. I did not expect it to be that big. It was enormous. Because I'd been to the NFL draft a few times in New York. New York couldn't hold a candle to what Nashville, Tennessee did that day. It was unbelievable that weekend. You would have thought that there were legendary rock and roll concerts coming out. Like, in other words, like Elvis Presley was coming back from the dead to do a concert. That's how big of a crowd that was being drawn downtown. And the detail that they did was unbelievable. I talk about it all the time, and I share the picture every once in a while. But and I know this is a little thing, but I thought it was very, very sharp of them. But this is just an example of all the stuff they did. The traffic lights there in Nashville, red, yellow, green, they had put films over them, and it read NFL on all of them. I mean, it was just insane. And that's just one example, but it was insane. They had these huge pictures. I'll never forget because they drafted Josh Allen to the Jaguars, the defensive end Josh Allen from Kentucky. And they had it hanging there, and we had just done our show because we were doing our show live that morning, and then we were going and covering it. And we had predicted that Jacksonville was going to get him, and we get down there and we start seeing the pictures of these guys. I mean, these things were like 2 stories high, just enormous banners, and you're just jaw dropped. And they turned every bar top there, every bar in downtown Nashville put a what do they call it? Open air bar. Every single one of them. And I think most of them have kept them. But it was just insane. It was just, like I said, you wouldn't have thought a draft was going on. You'd have thought like there was something enormous going on in society. If you had flown down from your alien spaceship and landed, you'd be like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is where I want to be, right?
Nobody will live up to that Nashville one, that's for sure.
No, they won't, because I expected Vegas to blow the roof off, and I watched the Vegas one. I was like, it was good. It was solid, but it wasn't, man. There's just Nashville does it big, and when it comes to entertainment, it's just they don't care the costs. They're going to outdo you. That's just the way they do it. They're like, we're Music City, by God. We're going to show you what's what. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk a little more football, basketball, Major League Baseball. How about them Braves? They got a W today. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country.
Having somebody making wild decisions that make no sense, that benefits nobody.
Oh, yes. Right, yes. Is he listening to us? I can't tell.
He's listening. He's not understanding.
Yeah, he doesn't even get us, man. We're talking about you.
Big news and the big games covered in the Big Ten by by the Armchair Quarterbacks all year long.
Third down and about 22. As Smith drops the throw, he's got his tight end open, but he's got Carter downfield, and he's gone. Michigan leads the game with a first touchdown on a bullet, a bomb to Carter, 71 yards.
Now State's lead 7-3. There he goes. So long. Ohio State touchdown.
That's that old 1-2 punch. You fake to him the first time and let him have it the second time.
In his career, Lorenzo White 15 times rushed for 100 yards in a half. 5 of those this season. On 2nd and 10.
Long throw to Ryson, and he's open. All the way to the 6-yard line.
Big Ten football covered in the Southeast by the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Hockey season, and that means new merch over at ourdragonsmerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at ourdragonsmerch.com. That's the letter R, dragonsmerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Something on your mind? Just want to let you know you're sitting in my chair.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Well, for a man that don't go heeled, you run your mouth kind of reckless, don't you?
No need to go heel to get the bulge on a tub like you.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact.
I'm real scared.
I can see that in your eyes.
Welcome back. Don't go anywhere. We're doing something new today that I have not prepared Joey for. I thought the perfect one to start this with. We'll do this every Thursday, and every once in a while I'll drop it in on the other guys. I'm calling it something stupid. And I'm going to bring up something stupid. You're going to get, and I've got this Rolodex. Someone gave me this junk years ago. I've got this Rolodex, and I'm just going to pull it out, and it's going to be a random weird topic. And I don't know if they're all sports or not. But anyways, something stupid is what I'm going to call it. So we'll be doing something stupid here really, really soon. For folks who are just joining us, might have missed the game. The Atlanta Braves beat the Mets 6-2, getting their second win of the spring. And the big takeaway from this one is that Castile hit a home run. Double check. I could have swore I saw. Maybe that was a ground rule double. Castile hit a home run in the 7th inning. White got a home run, Eli White. And I thought I had seen Pilar, but I guess he did not. Pilar went 0 for 2. So that must have been Castile that was rounding the bases. I was trying to do 3 things at once. So Pilar went 0 for 2, but he did score a run and did get on via the walk. And once again, Ozuna, he's 0 for 3. He's 1 for hitting 111 this spring.
Oof.
There's a very good chance that the Braves are just going to eat his salary. And it's one of the worst signings that I can remember in Major League Baseball in quite some time. He still has, remember, 2 more years on this deal. $33 million, I think, is what he's owed. It's somewhere in that neighborhood.
I was so happy to get out of Jason Hayward's contract finally. That felt like a decade. Nothing worse than that.
Okay, I'll tip my cap to that. That was the worst contract.
That was, oh my goodness.
How long was that? I remember it was 184 million. But
7 years, 184.
It was really 107. I'm with you. I thought that thing was about
12. It was.
I was thinking that was 4 or 5 presidents.
Let me tell you, these last couple of years, it felt like that long.
When people would say Jason Hayward debuted for the Atlanta Braves in 2000, I was like, no, he has. He's been playing for the Cubs for 32 years. There's no way. It's on a ridiculous contract. They're officially out of that contract, right? Like,
yes, fully out of it, finally.
Because I know they released him, but I was thinking for some reason they had one more year they had to pay on that.
Last year was the last of it, and thank goodness.
Forrest Wall, by the way, 2 for 4 today. He has really played well in the spring, sitting 375. Vaughn Grissom got another base hit, 1 for 2. I know it's early and it's the spring, but he is hitting 556, so you like to see that. And see if anyone else really jumps off the board. The Eli White. Eli White, I was thinking they might be signing him to possibly send him down because they do have moves with him and several other players, but he's playing so well, and he's one of the fastest guys in baseball. He might make the big club. Kevin Pillar, I mean, there's a part of me that would rather see Kevin Pillar than Marcell Ozuna, because the one thing about Pillar is he's not a liability in the field. He's a good base runner. And he can hit 111 as easy as anyone else can. I mean, as Ozuna can. Pitching today, by the way, was not our big dogs. It was Allard, Dodd, Swarmer, Vines, and Rangel all pitched today. Gave up 2 runs. It looks like none of them were earned. So someone booted the ball. Who was that, Ozuna? Did Ozuna boot the ball? No, it was Lugbar. Okay. The Mets, if you're wondering who pitched for them today, was Carrasco. 2 innings, 2 earned runs. His ERA in the spring is 9. Drew Smith did pitch 1 scoreless inning. And Reyes and Budo gave up the other runs. But anyways, that was it. Looks like the Mets played most of their starters. They didn't do a whole lot. Braves 6, Mets 2 today. Both had 8 hits. Both had an error. And Colby Allard has pitched pretty well this spring. Like I said, I know it's early on, but he's pitched now, I believe, 5 innings. He's got a 1.8 ERA. And he is expected to maybe threaten the number 5 start, but at least make the big club as a long reliever from the left-hand side of the mound. Anything else jumping out at you this spring?
I'm just looking at the Cubs box score right now, and I saw that. I was happy to see that Stroman gave us a few good innings today because we're going to be relying a lot on him this year. So he went 2 1/3, no earned runs, no 4 Ks in fact. So I was pretty happy to see that. I'm kind of just following this new Cubs team, and it's going to be a fun one, I hope. So that's where my focus has been.
Red Sox bombed Philly. I'm curious to see who pitched for Philly today. Falter gave up an earned run in 1 1/3. Dominguez had a clean inning. See if there are any other big names. My God, they did sign Matt Moore again. I did not think they were going to. That guy's got 19 lives. He came in 1 clean inning. And Alvarado, clean inning. So it looks like most of the damage was done against pitchers that won't be making. As far as the Red Sox, you Red Sox fans out there, Hoke was the starter today. He went 1 2/3, 2 strikeouts. And that's about it as far as the pitching.
You brought up Carrasco, though. I think, I'm really looking at him to see what he does this year because he's huge. People forget about him sometimes because we talk about, obviously Verlander and Scherzer so much, but he's going to be a key for them. He can't be injured. He can't be pitching bad. He has to be one of the staples in that rotation. And I don't know if that's going to happen.
Nah, he's not. I'm not buying it.
I'm not a fan.
I think he's a guy that every third or fourth outing, he'll have a really good outing and they'll all get excited. But I think he's a guy that best case scenario, everything falls his way. He's a 10 to 12 win starter. But first of all, the pop in his arm is about gone. So now he's having to reinvent himself. And now, granted, you don't need the moon and the stars when he's being slated as probably the number 5 pitcher because Quintana signed with the Mets and he's probably the number 4, but they're basically the same pitcher from different sides of the mound.
No kidding.
They're guys you hope to get 5 or 6 innings from. You hope to keep it around 3 or 4 runs, and they're going to be bullpen days. And what they're hoping for big time when you talk about the Mets are hoping that they get elite 25 to 30 starts out of Verlander and Scherzer because on their days off, they're going to be taxing that bullpen. Because I don't know what to expect from Kodai Senga coming over from Japan. They've talked about him being really good. I have not actually watched him pitch yet. I don't think he's actually pitched at a game. I think he's only pitched in simulated games so far, is what I was reading last night. But I want to see him and see what this ghost fork is about. But I also want to see, does the ball pop out of his arm? Here's an interesting one. Christian Arroyo went deep twice.
Oh, wow.
Okay. He went for the Red Sox. He went 2 for 3, 5 RBIs.
Ooh.
Give that man a cold one. How about that?
I'll have what he's having.
KD returning to the Suns, got 23 points. Did that jump off the page at you?
A little bit because funny timing. I'm actually going to see the Suns at the Bulls tomorrow. So I'm interested to see what Durant is able to do in his second game back. I know he had a day off, but after that first game, he just looked weird though to me in a Phoenix Suns jersey. I don't know about you, but it just looked a little out of sorts, but I'll be seeing him tomorrow. I'm glad he's playing.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to play something stupid, and we're going to tell you about the frauds they're going to be going into next week's conference tournaments, the big tournaments, the Power Fives. We've got some frauds to talk about. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD, wherever you stream. Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM The Key, your first choice for Southern sports talk. The Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family, have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is handpicked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to DixieHandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling waxed paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins.
Little Bites?
That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute?
I love Little Bites.
I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay?
Got it.
As I was saying, whenever I bring home you-know-what, you-know-who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high-fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious.
I love Little Bites.
Here you go.
Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites Muffin, the perfect portion of happiness.
And that's it.
Hey, Braves Country! Braves Country HD is bringing you Braves Country Baseball. Braves Country comes to you every Tuesday night and Friday night, and 2 bonus games every week. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we'll be bringing you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves. It's free to listen. Please like and subscribe. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country Baseball for the fans, by the fans. Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m., drive time on WQEE. Welcome back. Starting something called Something Stupid. I figure Joey's the best person to pick for something stupid.
You dang right I am, my friend. Thanks for the compliment, brother. Thursday.
So I don't even know where I got these from, but someone gave me this thing. I mean, there's 2 of these things, of these Rolodexes that I'm holding up here. There's supposed to be topics, and I think someone bought them, giving them to me for, I don't know, like a party favor or something. And I really don't remember where I got them from, but I do know that I sat them off and I was like, maybe one day we'll do something with them. Probably not, da-da-da-da-da. And then I got to looking at them today. I was like, this could be something fun if I can find some good topics as we rattle through them. Now I'm going to go through these and I'm going to hit them. And the ones that suck, I'm going to toss. But I'm going to try to find one per Thursday that we can hit. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
Which sport is at risk of dying in the next 100 years? Just falling off the map altogether.
Oh, wow.
Now, I know the low-hanging fruit, everyone thinks I'm going to say WNBA, but that's really a league, right? That's not.
Yeah.
What sport could you see just being absolutely obsolete 100 years from now?
I hate to say it, but I'm going to go boxing. I just think what it's turned into, and now that you have UFC and other options, the only time people seem to watch boxing these days is when you get some idiot off YouTube like Jake Paul to do it. So I'm going to go boxing.
I'm going to go. It's a tough one. I'm looking at more of the danger factor and the way we've seen it evolve over the last several years. And it's not the sport that I grew up watching. I'm going to go with football. In 100 years, there might be something that they are calling football, but I think 100 years from now, you would not be watching guys bang at the line, come in and hit each other with pads and helmets. I think it could be something as
flag football.
Like a flag football or the 7-on-7 that they do out west.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's hard for us to wrap our brains about it because there's no way I would sit there and watch that, right? But, by the way, I'm just watching the replay of the Castile home run. His swing, everything about this guy, from a distance, not close, he looks like Adam Duvall. Anyways, Castile hit an absolute bomb. What was that, the 7th inning? To put the Braves up 5-0 at the time. I mean, that thing got out. I mean, it was gone. It wasn't a souvenir for anyone that went to the game. It was a souvenir for someone who was out walking their dog in that neighborhood.
In McCovey Cove with the paddle boats.
The fireman who hasn't been on the show in quite some time, he's a fireman right down there in Port St. Lucie, because he talks about running into Mets players all the time in the grocery store. I wonder if that ball might have smacked one of his fire engines down there, man. Because I mean,
the hose is going crazy, water everywhere.
that thing left the building, woke him up and everything. So, anyways, I'll probably find better ones, but I think that was a pretty good start.
I like that.
There's ones that are off the cuff, but I came across that one, and we'll put that in the official. It could be back rotation. There are ones that stink, that like this one, like what in the hell? Someone got me something that has. Why should schools invest in athletic programs?
Oh,
so that's trash.
that hit in the sin bin.
The bigger question is, why should athletic programs invest in the schools?
Yeah, amen to that. Turn that one on its head.
All right, we're going to talk about the frauds.
I love this. I love it.
So I told Joey to come up with 2. I'm coming up with 2. And what we're talking about in the bigger tournaments that'll be going next week, you're going to hear about this team and that team that is high. They don't have to be a 1 seed. They don't have to be a 2 seed, but one of the higher seeds, not just in their conference tournament, but in the NCAA tournament. We're talking about someone who finished in the top half of their conference that we think could be one and done once they get in the dance, or maybe they squeak out of the first round. I've got one in particular on the mind, but I'm curious to see who your first team is. So I'll give you first pick. Where are you going? Who's your first fraud?
My first fraud falls in the ACC. That is going to be Virginia. Right now,
that was exactly who I was staring at.
Are you serious?
That is exactly who I'm staring at.
Well, I'll just give one quick point before you put the nail in the coffin. Listen, this team is ranked 304th in scoring, 304 out of all college teams at 67.9 points per game. And I just think the whole season, when it comes up in a big game, this team has done me dirty. And also in the past, when I picked them to win it all, they got out in like the first or second round. So this team this year, though, especially to me, with being one of the lowest scoring leagues in basketball, as they usually are, but this year's really bad, I'm going Virginia. You are a fraud.
I'm going to stay in the ACC, but pivot to the other team I had in mind, the Pittsburgh Panthers. Frauds! They lost to Notre Dame, who was absolutely awful last night. I know it's on the road, but the thing is, and Joey knows, I took Notre Dame in the points.
Yes, sir. Go Irish.
But the reason why I did it, it's not because I thought Notre Dame was this great basketball team. It's because Pittsburgh doesn't play well on the road. Most of their big wins are at home. That's going to be a problem when you get to the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. You don't get to host any of these games.
Correct.
They lost at home to Florida State, and Florida State stinks. They lost by 7 to FSU. Ooh. But they're sitting there rolling. They're 14-5 in the ACC. They are 21-9 overall. They're tied for first, and right now they've got Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh must have the tiebreaker right now for the top seed in the ACC tournament. It's Pittsburgh, Miami, and Virginia. And I'll be honest with you, if I was going to pick one of those 3 teams to go the farthest, it would be Miami. Who is your next fraud?
Hopefully I don't take another one here, but my next fraud, we are going to the Big 12. and that will be Kansas State. I just look at this team, first off, just from a couple of bets this year, they done me dirty, but let's stick to the real where it's at. They've had losses against ranked teams all year, whether it's been TCU, whether it's been Texas, Kansas, on and on. They can't seem to beat the cream of the crop. I know they recently are on a 4-game heater where they beat number 9 Baylor, but I'm putting on the whole body of work. And this team just also does not score the basketball well at 74 points a game. So I'm not going to go all big on them, as they're not a big team either. They can't get rebounds. I'm not liking Kansas State. Kansas State, you are a fraud.
All right. I'm going to go to the Southeastern Conference. And first of all, how about my Vanderbilt Commodores that I've been riding they're not my team, but I've been riding them in the Vegas book the last several weeks. They have been on fire. They got another big W last night in Kentucky. That was my lock. And they won outright.
I'm glad you pointed me towards I'm glad you pointed me towards that game. I watched that ending. It was awesome. And I didn't even know Jerry Stackhouse was the coach, so I love seeing that.
He's been there a few years now.
I love it.
But I'm going to the Southeastern Conference, and the team that I think they're probably going to get in the tournament, it could be an iffy. So this fraud alert could be talking about them getting bounced early in the SEC tournament. But the biggest fraud that I see is the Auburn Tigers. Frauds!
Fraud.
Bruce Pearl went out there and got all that money. And I know they've got some impressive wins, but listen to their last few weeks. They have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games of their last 11. They blew a 17-point lead last night to Alabama. They were blown out by Kentucky last Saturday in Rupp Arena. Absolute frauds. They don't make it past the second game of the SEC tournament, and that probably ends their season. I have no and it's dumbfounding because Bruce Pearl normally has really good teams. I like Bruce Pearl as a coach. He's a very good coach. But this team just doesn't have it. You got a team in the in some of the smaller conferences. You got one team that you're expecting to make some kind of a run?
I haven't had a good feel for the smaller conferences, quite honestly, yet.
I'll give you one.
Go ahead.
I'll give you one. The team that I like a lot. That depending on assuming they make the tourney, they're 24-8 overall. They're 15-3 in the ASUN. Kennesaw State Owls. That is a good basketball team. And they are playing Lipscomb tonight, and then if they win that, they'll face Liberty for the championship. That is a very good basketball team. They have had some close ones, but all in all, they have just been a dominant basketball team.
If I had to pick one, I'll go Dayton Flyers. I'm looking at their resume now. If they can get in, they're 20-10 and 12-5 in the conference, second in the Atlantic 10. I feel like Dayton usually makes some noise here and there. I like their offense at what I'm seeing statistically. I'll go Dayton Flyers.
Tell you what, in that same conference, VCU is starting to put it together.
Oh,
VCU always seems to have one of those teams every 5 years that like makes a run into the Sweet 16 where they shouldn't. They're a 12 seed and they get 2 or 3 wins. But they're a dangerous, dangerous team. What is your lock for the day?
All right, let's try to make it 4 in a row. This guy might be turning things around with the diaper dandies. No, but in reality, sticking to it. I know a lot of people are being like, wow, you're betting against UCLA. Well, with the points I'm going to, I'm taking Arizona State plus 11 tonight to get the cover. I know UCLA is really good, but Arizona State, I've been liking what they're doing quietly lately. I think they cover the 11 points.
Wow.
Hey.
Arizona State
plus 11.
That's a tricky one.
It's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points, but they're also coming off that emotional win, which is why I'm a little. What's your take on that Illinois-Michigan game today? I thought you might be going there one way or the other.
I was thinking about it, but it's a stay away game for me, and here's why. Illinois has been reeling lately as 5-point favorites. They came off of a loss to Ohio State on the road. They have not been shooting the basketball well. What the heck am I saying? But Meyer on their team also, he just got off of a caffeine. He had to miss practice a couple days because he said he drank 6 Monsters playing video games at night, and he had to take 2 days off practice. It was one of the most wild stories. If you go on Twitter and type in Illinois basketball player Mr. Mayer, you'll find that story. And he's one of their best players. I just think it's weird. It's a stay away game for me.
I'm going on an early tip, 6 p.m. Eastern. Boston University's getting 3.5 points. They're playing Army in the Patriot League Conference quarterfinals. Give me BU. BU is going to win outright, but I'm still going to take points. 3.5. I like Boston a lot. I've been waiting for that freaking game to come on the site that I'm on. Like it's been on and off all day long. What is your walk-off, sir?
My walk-off is this. Hey, we're keep getting closer. Right around tourney time, you're going to get the small tournaments this weekend. Since it's my Thursday, I'm giving my weekend walk-off. Enjoy the small tourneys. Get ready for the big ones because we're going to be filling out brackets sooner than you think.
Amen. Stay tuned for the Brian Snow Show. It is up next, and CDP at 8 o'clock, and then you'll have the Sports Map Radio overnight and get your morning started off right with Rhino Radio Penitentiary 7 to 10. Rod Peterson Show noon to 2. Sports Beat 2 to 3. We'll be back tomorrow for TGI Friday. Tones will be here. Bobby will be here. We'll have cool games and a lot more. We'll see you mañana. Have a good one.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia. Tuesday, March 7th, 6:05 Eastern, first pitch. Braves Country is bringing you Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox, pitch by pitch, inning by inning, from Northport, Florida at Cool Today Park. Red Sox versus Braves broadcast will begin 6 Eastern. First pitch delivered by 6:05. Catch all the action right here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country for Atlanta Braves baseball all year long.